We shouldn't worry about what other people think, because otherwise we're never going to progress. If you're pushing yourself to grow and to learn something, of course, there is self-doubt.
It's okay to just sit there and pause. Welcome back to the Next Level podcast, and on today's episode, we have Amrit Dhanoa. Amrit is an international public speaker, and she's worked alongside some fantastic names such as Jay Shetty. Amrit is the co-founder of UBlossomWeBlossom, where she helps create direction and clarity for people working inside the corporate world and entrepreneurs, and she helps them get direction and clarity on where they're going to go within the business world. So, Amrit, welcome to the show. How's everything going?
Really well.
Yeah?
Yeah, really well.
So, as you know, I always like to start these by taking everything back to the beginning. So talk to me about your childhood and how it was growing up for yourself.
Yeah. When I was young, looking back, I feel really grateful for the childhood that I had. Feel really blessed for the opportunities. Growing up, our dad was a little stricter than our mum, and I think it was a really good balance, actually. We had that discipline, that academic sort of pressure from our dad. Mum wanted us to do well at school as well, but she was a lot more chilled. She moved from India when she was about 6, and she grew up north near Yorkshire. So she had a bit of two cultures, Western and Indian, growing up. So I think we had the best of sort of both worlds as well. And yeah, I think also just sort of working with two different cultures as well, being British but also being Indian. But honestly, when I look back, we were close as a family. Obviously, you know, little things happening as well, and it's all part of growing up. But when I look back, I just feel really grateful for what happened and the experiences that I had.
So tell me about your school years. What was that like?
School, I'm just trying to think. My memory's not amazing, but when I think back, I was a good student. I liked going to school. I liked studying art, maths, English, pretty much all the subjects. I was good. I was quite a good, a high achiever. And yeah, I think the later it got, so after primary school, I just was starting to get into slightly different things. So different music, starting to feel a bit more rebellious, got into rock and metal music, and so I was a bit of a metal. I don't really listen to a lot of that now anymore, but I think it's just those teenage angst years. So I feel like just doing my own thing, sneaking off to like rock concerts and metal concerts. My mum would be really supportive of it, but my dad wouldn't know. But yeah, I just sort of enjoyed myself. But yeah, one thing that my mum, she always, they both worked really hard, our parents, and mum would always work extra hard to make sure that we got to go on our school trips. So we were really fortunate in high school. Some of our classes, and especially mine and I think my sisters as well, the teachers were amazing. So they'd always organise, probably from year 9, 10 and 11, trips abroad, and mum would never say no to us, and that means so much. I think maybe I wasn't as appreciative when I was younger, but when I look back now, like really grateful for how hard she worked to make sure that we always went.
Would you say that's made you into the type of person you are today?
I think it has. Yeah. I think it's given, that confidence, that interest in other people, cultures, tradition, the world. Definitely. It has. I think she sparked something inside us, actually.
I was going to say, when did that spark come from? Where did it come from? And obviously you've just alluded to it there, but for people that don't know, obviously you've been coached not just by Jay Shetty, or what you've gone through that sort of training, if you like. Yes. But yeah, tell us more about that part. Yeah,
I did. I did the training. I was working as a freelance graphic designer during that time, so that was always something I wanted to be. I wanted to be a graphic designer. I remember writing that in my record of achievement when you were like 11 or 12. I found it years later, and I was like, oh wow, I did that. And then back and forth with that graphic design career. But when I started the Jay Shetty training, that was actually during COVID, like many of us, trying to look for something new. wasn't feeling so aligned with what I was doing anymore. And I can explain later sort of the transition. But I was looking for something else, something more fulfilling, something more aligned to my values, being in touch with people, because I was just realizing working on the computer, answering to other people's briefs, even though I enjoyed it, I was just getting to a point where I was feeling I can't see myself continuing to do this. So in the evenings, I started training, did the course. I'd get this new lease of life from like 6 till 11 o'clock at night, working through the trainings, coaching people as well at that time. So we had to put in, I think it was I can't remember exactly the number of hours, but a lot of hours practice with other students, people outside, unlearning what we've learned. So I absolutely loved it. The Jay Shetty School was really aligned to my values, a bit more spiritual as well. It's all about guiding your clients. So I absolutely loved it.
And then what happened after that? Tell me what happened after that.
So did all the hours, became a Jay Shetty certified coach. I have coached many entrepreneurs since then. Absolutely love it. The results that they have told me and what I can see, it's been magical, actually. And I'm a coach that really believes in we guide our clients, never really tell them what to do, because the power comes in giving that power to your clients. And it's just been remarkable. And I really believe in not holding people back. So if it is, and I've really seen results within 3, 4, 5 sessions, and it's just beautiful. I'm kind of like, yeah, go fly. You don't need me anymore. We don't need to work together. I'm here if you ever need me. And I love that, actually, because I've been coached and mentored, and it's been incredible. You learn so much. But yeah, you don't need to, it doesn't have to be a long process. So
when you obviously went to learn that new skill, how did you recognize at the beginning, you're like, I need to learn this new skill? Obviously it wasn't, the graphic design wasn't, say, in line with what you was doing anymore, but you're like, okay, I need to venture into, say, being a life coach. How did you know that was the right thing to go into?
Yeah, I think just who I am as a person, I think the empathy, the understanding, the love for people, it just comes naturally. I don't feel like I was trying to be anyone else but me. I remember having a conversation with a friend, and she had trained as a life coach, and I was asking her, oh, tell me more about this. This sounds really interesting. And by the end of our dinner, I was like researching different ways of becoming a life coach. It just really, something clicked.
Was there a fear of ever being judged by other people
to do this?
Yeah.
I would say more starting over again. So I'd say probably I knew I wanted to give it a go. Probably a little bit scared to try something else, and actually leaving my past career, I did take quite a bit of time to make that decision, because obviously finances are comfortable, you're secure, everything's stable, but taking that jump to go, actually, I'm going to give this up to try something new a lot later on in life. I think I was a little bit, it was on my mind, but I was like, it just feels so right. I'm going to go for this. I'm going to make it work, because I absolutely believe in what I'm doing.
And I was just about to say, how did you know it was going to work? But you just don't, do you? You just don't know. But then if you've got the determination to make it work, then everything will eventually fall into place. And obviously with the people that you're working with now, your results speak for themselves.
Oh, thank you.
So how, if you can explain, how can people look to get started if they're stuck now? Because I speak to so many people, and obviously the previous guests we've had on, again, posting on social media, the fear of getting started in a new job. It doesn't have to be working for yourself. What would your advice be to them people that are looking to get started, but there's fear within, I don't know, say the family home, fear of judgment, fear of just asking, the boss for a raise, whatever it might be? What would you tell them people?
Yeah, it's so common, right? It's so common. It's so common for us to just settle in life as well, just to keep things going. But time is the most valuable thing that we have, and we want to and should make the most of it. So I would say to those, people that are feeling a bit stuck, a bit lost, or lack of purpose, it's absolutely normal. It's so normal. And actually, you need to take some time away just for yourself. So don't worry about coaches or mentors. Firstly, just sit with yourself, give yourself a room, whether you've put some music or it's silent, and really just a pen and paper, and just write down your thoughts. I think sometimes the simplest of activities, we don't actually give ourselves time to do it. So the best thing would be just to could write a pros and cons list of how life is, your financial situation, things with a loved one, where you want to go in life, how's work. I did that when I was looking at my career as a designer, pros and cons list. I think my sister told me to do that actually. And, I'm like, that's such a good place to start. We all know it as well. And then you can just start seeing patterns emerging. Is one list longer than the other? And really take that time for yourself first to make that step.
And because I'm just trying to paint a picture for people that are stuck, they're lacking the clarity, they're lacking the purpose. That's exactly what you do. You get people from point A to point B by guiding.
Yep.
And not by saying, go and do A, go and do B, go and do C. Which I think is a really nice way to do it, because there's so many people out there, there's so much noise out there at the moment to go, I can get you to 10 grand a month. Whilst that's amazing, you may not need the 10 grand a month.
Yeah.
Whilst it's great, you could earn 10 grand a month, let's say, in property, but property could be the wrong vehicle for you, or social media, whatever it is. It could be the complete wrong vehicle, but you've got to know what it is that you want to do first. So apart from the tools that you've just mentioned there, is there anything else that people could do?
I think you're so right. It's about experimenting as well. So property you mentioned, my sister and I, we do property on the side as well. We've actually taken a bit of a break from it, but we went in this whole journey thinking that property was going to be our vehicle. Yeah. But through the process, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not passionate about it. What I did really get from it, and where I am today, is the personal development that I learned from the courses. So actually we went in thinking, yes, we'll buy some buy-to-lets, we'll do this. Actually, it caused me probably more stress. and I'm going to say it. And then I think quickly realised that actually we understand how to do what we've done. And that's brilliant. We're not going to say we're never doing this again. But right now, we're just parking it. And the personal development side of it really sparked something in me. It really did. The books. I'm usually quite an optimistic person, but I didn't realise there was this whole area until I sort of came across it. So I think by experimenting, and that's what I'd say to the listeners, experiment with things that might be of interest to you, because we have this one chance. We don't have to stick at things for a really long time. I've done it. I've stuck at things for probably longer than I needed to, but because I didn't know what else was out there. When I was younger and when I went off traveling, there was something that I wasn't sure, like what's happening? Why am I feeling like this? I actually didn't know the world of entrepreneurship or business back then. And it kind of makes sense. Maybe that's kind of what I needed to know about back then. So I think experimenting, if there's a hobby that you like, or something that, you wanted to draw or paint or learn a musical instrument, just follow, like you said, follow the heart and your gut, because it could lead you to something else.
You just mentioned something there, in hobbies. Do you think enough of us have hobbies?
I don't think enough of us do. That's probably a generalization, but it is, I think in the entrepreneurship world, I'm sure most people look after their health. So a lot of us work out or go to the gym. I don't know if that's a hobby or not, but it is a...
I think we class that as our hobby, don't we? Yeah,
exactly, because it's taking the time, right? And I'm sure there are. And I think that's where the real fulfillment comes in as well. Yes, we should be striving to do better, to give back, but we have to ultimately do something that makes us feel alive, want to get up, and and something different. It doesn't have to be related to what we're doing.
But then I'll sort of challenge it to go with, as you've seen on my content, is my fitness and my health and my fitness comes first above business. Then the business will ultimately be better because of that. So then would I class that as a hobby? No. What will be the hobby? So it's kind of countering it with some good friend of mine. He goes to play golf. That's his hobby.
Yeah.
It's not, and he still goes to the gym. So I always sort of go to myself, I don't really have any hobbies, but it's not necessarily a bad thing, providing that you know that.
Totally. Is there anything that you'd like to do?
Because I'm aware of the situation, I'm very self-aware. I love going to the gym. I love working, and that's fine by me. This is what I love more than anything, apart from the gym and working. But this is what I love, sitting with opposite yourself now, having a conversation. But no, apart from that, and obviously my kids, no, not really. Some people, again, it could be golf, it could be traveling. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think if you're working, for example, whatever that might be, in your own business or at work for an employer, and you're going, I need to do more, and you're comparing yourself, and you find yourself comparing yourself to others, or you want to achieve more, and you're like, oh, look at them, they're out at the weekend, or whatever it might be, then you have to sort of sit back and go through what you've just mentioned there and go, right, actually, what is it I need to do? What are the pros and the cons to doing this? Can I afford to do this? Which is what I suppose your sister got you to do.
Yeah, and you're right about that. We have to be self-aware. We have to see what we really want to do for ourselves and where we're going, right? And I think what's really important, I did an exercise with my sister not too long ago, and we do this and mix it up a little bit. But where's our vision? Where do we see ourselves going? Because we hear it all the time, have the end in mind, but do we truly know where we want to go? Because we could be going in the wrong direction, potentially, or we'll eventually get to where we want to. But I think it's important to sit down and have that time for yourself. The fact that you said, your kids, that's amazing that you want, that they're your life. So, and you like going to the gym. There shouldn't be that pressure that we need to be doing something else, because if we're content doing what we're doing, and you love hosting a podcast, and I get that. We don't have to fill our time with something that people are saying that we should be doing. The other day, went out, we had meetings, and we're like, oh, maybe we can stay out for a little while. But didn't feel like it. Wanted to go back home and do some work, actually. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's what you like, what you feel like doing. So
I often ask this question to the guests on the podcast, and it's interesting to hear their side of it. And it's, how do you balance contentment with ambition?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I love it. I think since the personal development world, journaling, being grateful, having a gratitude journal, that's really reinforced that everything that I am striving for, and the experiences that I have them. Yes,
so experiences for yourself.
For me, it's experiences, the time with my family, my friends. Whenever I sort of reflect back on the day before, that's what I write about. I always write about the time that's spent with my loved ones, or that's what means the most to me. But I think generally in life, I feel pretty content. I am a content person, but that ambition is there. It is there. I am striving to give back more, because that really fulfills me as well.
And then, for like what you mentioned about the end destination, I think it's important for people to recognise that you may have that end destination of whatever that may be in 5 years' time, but that may move in a year's time, that may move in a month's time. You just never know, because things change, especially when you're an entrepreneur like yourself. So has it changed already for yourself when you initially started?
So I would say we've been hosting workshops over the last few years, and they're free workshops just about giving back. It was a passion project that started off, and have guest speakers on there, and we've presented on there as well. So that's what it started off as. And that was me really tuning into what I want to do in my life. I did a personal development course, and that was one of the projects. And that was about 4.5 years ago. We did an in-person event just before COVID, actually, and then the rest have been online. But from that, everything that I'm doing, I feel like there's a connection to it. I really feel like I've connected to who I am. I'm really sure of who I am, what I want to do, what brings me joy. So I think anything else that's happening at the moment, it's connected to what I'm doing. And so, the property bit's on the side at the moment.
Yeah. No, do you know what? And again,
Yeah.
I sort of started in property and made relatively good amount of money, and then obviously built it up over time. But and again, now I'm very much, if one comes along, yeah, great, we'll buy it, or whatever the situation may be, and we'll just keep adding. But I'm not looking to go, we're going to buy loads of houses this year. No. If the right one comes along, great.
Yeah.
I'm very much, it's just too much bloody headache.
It's
It's just too much. Yeah, it's just it's an investment vehicle that pays you very well over the long term. But when I first got into it, it was like, this is loads of money. You can, but you have to invest a lot of time, which with many businesses you will. Am I that passionate about it? No, because it's just brick.
I love that.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, you can earn a lot of money, but again, if you really want to go 100% at it, it's just brick at the end of the day. And you can build long-term relationships, but you can also do it with stuff that you love.
Yeah.
But to be completely brutally honest, it's fucking boring.
You said it. No. And I think we got into it being quite passionate about it, like, oh, we're going to be doing this for a long time. But actually, again, you have to start thinking, can you see yourself doing this for quite a while? And I think I've got to the place where I'm like, what I'm doing right now, I can see where it could go.
Yes.
How we can really support so many people, and we've got loads of other ideas of where it could go. And I would say we, actually, because I don't see this as like it's just me.
Tell me about your sister then.
Yeah.
Tell me about your sister, because it's you and your sister. When you said we, my sister, you've mentioned about 3 or 4 times.
I know.
Tell me about your sister, because your sister's been on the podcast.
Yes.
She's got an amazing story.
Yes.
She's had her story is somewhat, it's insightful to say the least. How did her story impact you? And for the listeners that don't know, I'll let you tell the backstory.
Yeah, totally. Growing up, we were close, my sister and I, but I do feel like growing up, I was just sort of did my own thing. Just went off, lived out, went to university, travelled. So even though we were close, we're not as close as we are now. My sister was on your podcast, so she shares very intimately her journey. There was a lot of that we didn't know about at the time as well, when things were happening. So when I was at university, she'd come over, we'd chat and just thinking back now, it's sort of, as a sister, you're like, oh, wish I'd known, wish I was there more for her. But where we are now, and I won't go into so much detail because I know your listeners can watch it.
You can go into as much detail as you like. It's your podcast.
Okay.
As much as you want to talk about it, it's up to you.
No, it's it's upsetting that I wish I was there for her more. But I think where we are now, and there's that understanding and that honesty and everything that we've all been through as a family, has brought us so much closer together. I just love my family. I just feel really blessed to, obviously there's ups and downs in families, but I don't like to dwell on that. And us working together, I just feel like we're just such a strong force, because it's coming from the heart, it's coming from experience, giving back. We just mindset, personal development, mental health. It's a really subject very close to our hearts. So I think when I did go off on the journey of training to become a life coach, it's come from the heart. It's come from wanting to work initially with women, actually. This is where when I actually got into it, I was like, oh, just seeing women, Indian women of my mum's background, our background, but my mum's age and life experience. I was seeing quite a few similar patterns in other friends' parents, like their mums and their dads. So very similar patterns. And it just got me questioning that, wow, if only they could have that opportunity to do something else. You know, our parents are in their 60s, mid 60s. And I'm like, what if they wanted to do something new? What if they have dreams and aspirations that never came to life because of having kids and the responsibilities coming from India at a certain age, and then it's just staying in that job for stability, right? So that's when I actually got into coaching. I was just thinking that I really want to make a difference in our community. And then obviously that relationship with my sister, we talk about it. Our life experience is exactly the same. So we've spoken about our goals, our visions. So much of it aligns. She has different, things that she wants in her life. So do I. But the main direction is really similar. So we were like, let's do this together. Like, why do things separately? So yeah, from that coaching realization, I was actually coaching initially on my course, women from ethnic backgrounds. But there was a lot of fear. Not enough. I think also because of the age, the habits, the doubt, the fear, and this is something really close to my heart. And I know I'm going to do something in this area. This timing might not be right just now, but to see our mums and our dads going, I want to start again. You just don't know how much time we all have. And I'm a real champion of that. Let's make the most of it. Anything that you really want to do, let's make it happen. And that's what I really instill in my clients, the entrepreneurs that I work with. Because sometimes we're looking for that encouragement, just that jump start in life. Yeah. And that honestly, it lights me up when I see people doing something that they love. And I know sometimes there can be people that are like, oh, why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? I'm like, you go. Like, this is amazing. Just go for it in life. It really gets me quite emotional because I'm like, everyone has that right to do and be who they want. There's something actually, and it might be a bit off topic, but something we realized about our dad that we never knew. I'm celebrating my 40th birthday this year in a few months. And literally, it was like 3 weeks ago, we found out. We went to Canada, had a family trip, my sister, my niece, and my niece met her great grandma for the first time, and all the family. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. And speaking to one of my cousins, and she mentioned that our dad can sing. We didn't know that.
Wow.
Did not know that.
Okay.
I found out forget the young years, but 39 years later, I found out my dad can sing. I did not know that. Got me very emotional. She sent me the audio note of him singing. Oh my God. It's so beautiful. So beautiful. And then that connection just reignites. And I've obviously spoken to him about it. And so I think that's the coach of me coming out as well. And it's just beautiful. And it just got me thinking, wow, how many of us are out there that I thought I was close to my parents, but there's still things that I'm discovering, my sister, my niece is discovering, and things that we hold back and we don't let our loved ones know about. And I did ask him, I was like, oh, do you sing? And he's like, yeah, sometimes, like, when I'm on my own. So, yeah.
Why do we hold this back? Why did your dad hold that back?
Yeah. I was really, honestly, I've only just found out about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So even for me, I think I'm still processing it. Why did he hold it back? I think it could be judgment, right? Judgment, fear. That's a hobby. I think it could be something even bigger. And maybe he thought it wasn't important. My dad's very academic, like very disciplined. I think I get that from him, that discipline, that routine. Probably just didn't think it was important. But where we found out, he actually went to India a few years ago when our grandpa passed away and all the family were together. We weren't there, but his siblings, and they were all having an evening. They were all drinking milk in India, just singing. They were all singing. And I was like, wow, it's just beautiful, because we've never grown up in that environment. So yeah, just, it just kind of takes me back to that original reason why I got into coaching as well. And it's not just, I don't believe it's just working with one type of person. We can ignite something in anyone. I learned so much from my niece. She's 8 years old. I learned so much from her. She's so wise. Kids are wise, right, Lou?
Yeah, they are.
You learn so much from them. They don't have that fear. They can go for anything. Actually, I think there was a study. I remember watching a video once, and they'd got kids to solve some crazy problems, and they were working things out that us as adults might find really difficult. So, but yeah. I just love what I do. I do.
No, it's amazing. And obviously trying to figure out why people, like you said, it could be the fear of judgment. But I would imagine some of your clients that you've probably sat there and gone, why have you not just gone for it? Likewise with myself, and obviously there's a few people that I say coach, but to be honest, I don't even charge them, because I'll just say, pick up the phone. I'm here for you. Just whatever it is, just give me a call. But it's like, you've got a gift, why are you not doing it? Or again, I'll relate back to property. Oh, I want to buy a house. No, you don't. You've got no interest in buying a house. You're doing it because everyone else is. But because I'm quite blunt with them, they then say, no, you're right. I actually want to do this. I want to be actually the latest one is a graphic designer. Well, don't buy a house then.
Yeah.
Offer your services in this field. If you want to design stuff, design it. Yeah, but I'm frightened of being judged. You're going to be judged anyway.
Yeah.
You're going to be judged on the design work and buying a house. So what's the difference? Whether it's a good judgment or a bad one, you're going to be judged. So what would your advice be to them people?
Yeah, I see that with my clients.
Yeah,
all the time, male, females, and that's such a topical conversation. But we just need to go for it. Yeah. We really need to give ourselves that permission to go. Who cares what anyone else thinks? We say that at home a lot, actually. We're like, who cares? We do care a little bit, but who cares? Because at the end of the day, we're in control of how our life pans out. You know, if I'm speaking to, if there are younger listeners here, I'd say, I wish, I don't believe in regrets. I think everything has happened for a reason. But if there's anyone younger listening to this, the world of entrepreneurship, taking risks, experimenting, giving things a go, even if you're not sure, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The fact that you gave it a go, it didn't work out or it did work out, is the best gift that you can give yourself. We shouldn't worry about what other people think, because otherwise we're never going to progress. I can't remember what book this was from. Is it Stephen Covey's? But there's a visualization in there, and I was reminded of it from a course that I'm doing at the moment. And basically the visualization takes you through these doors. Do you know it? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I know what you're saying. Yeah.
But it takes you through these doors that you're dressed up, you're walking through the aisle, and there's people on either side. But I won't say too much, actually, because just in case someone has, because I hate ruining things for people. But basically, it's just about being reflective of how things can pan out for your life, but being mindful now how you want that vision to be, what you want people to say about you, if you care, if not. But really the biggest thing is connecting with yourself. And if you wake up every day thinking, this feels good, I'm really like aligned to who I am, this makes me feel really fulfilled what I'm doing, that's the best place to be. It's easy to say it though, it really is. I know, I understand that it is hard, but with my clients, we would talk. I'd ask them thought-provoking questions. Like you said, being blunt is the best thing, because we need that honesty. And we also need people to help spot blind spots as well. So we can go around in circles thinking we're doing something that we want to do, but actually it's about digging deeper.
And I think it's important to understand what kind of emotional state you're at before you even do the pros and the cons. Because if you're not emotionally ready to take on that journey, then you are destined to not necessarily fail. But if you're not ready to take that on and you don't understand where you are personally, it's just going to be a nightmare because you can't take on the stresses and the strains of what's about to come.
Totally. And that's so true what you've said, because I know you've mentioned like therapy on your podcast before, but there's so many different expertise levels that are out there. So therapy, obviously, you know, that's medically trained. That's and that is the support that many of us need. There's consultants and coaches like myself. We're not medically trained, but we help dig deep. And so does therapy, actually, really does. But I think you're right. I think it's so important. On our training, we learned that actually if someone you believe may need other support that we can't provide as a coach, you can't, you know, you need to be sensitive to that, advise them what could be the best option. And don't start that coaching relationship. Being ethical, and actually understanding, like you said, the clients where they are. Because that's really important, because you might end up doing more damage than good. So
what type of support or what type of questions would you ask, and then if they would, as a typical questionnaire or whatever it is that you'd lead up to them, say signing up to yourself, and then you recognise that actually that potentially is a red flag, we're going to say perhaps guide you in the way of a therapist. How would you sort of navigate that? Because I would imagine that's quite a sore not sort of sore subject, but it's a delicate subject to handle, isn't it?
It is. And there have been a couple of instances, and that was actually quite early on in my coaching experience, and I was actually being supervised at the time. So with our coaching, the supervisor picked up on a few things, and you can share. So when you're digging deep, you don't know what's going to come up, right? I don't have pre-made questions. I have questions, but it's about tuning in with your client and listening in and coming up with the questions there and then with that deep listening. If something did come up, say as suicide or self-harm, then that's definitely a red flag. I'm not qualified to give support on that. And I'm very clear on that. So it would be a discussion that we would have, and it is a difficult conversation to have, but I would recommend to seek professional advice, have people that I would recommend for them as well. It hasn't happened that often, but you just need to be prepared for it.
Difficult subject for you to speak about, I would imagine. What if it was the type of abuse that your sister went through? Would you then refer, or is that something that you feel that you're qualified to talk about?
Oh, good question. Again, it depends why the client is there. Because I'm providing that safe space for my clients, and anything can come up. So it's not as if I'm not dealing with that topic or that topic. Anything can come up. If I believe, and actually I have coached, you've just reminded me, really early on when I was working with the older ladies as well, the age group, they were survivors of domestic abuse actually, and they found it really rewarding, really fulfilling. One of them went off and created a project for her community as well to give back. So I think you have to assess where your client is at, but you can still support them. I wouldn't say I'm qualified for it, but I think more of a human to human approach and the experience. Yeah.
Of course, because if someone came to me with, let's say, epilepsy, but everyone knows I've got that, I could give a certain amount of advice of how to do it, but the habits you need to put in place in order to deal with it and manage it. But apart from that, I can't really give you anything else. The mental side of things, that it can then come into play with the epilepsy, the medication, that side of things, again, I can give you advice, but again, it's online. Would I then I'd probably advise you to go to a professional? Absolutely. Everyone knows that I've had my battles with mental health. Should you seek professional advice? I have. Has it helped me? Yes, it has. But what's helped me most? Me. That's always my go-to. So there's it's countering what you believe in. Would I say to someone, don't worry about therapy, don't worry about that? No. What I'm saying is only you can fix it. And it's a very fine line, isn't it? And it's that human interaction. If you gel with them, if you can vibe with them and you can help, then I think it's okay to take it on.
Totally. And you're right, that strength, that actual action is going to come from you. Other people can spark something in you or just guide you, but you're right. We can only really get that strength from ourselves, and that's the most important. That's why I love the way we've coached as well, from the school and how I've taken it further. Is not about telling people what to do, because, you know, as kids, if we were told to do something, we'd go the other way. We'd go the other way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what about self-doubt? Have you ever experienced self-doubt?
Yeah, totally. I'm not. I have coaches and mentors too.
Yeah.
I think we shouldn't put so much time. It's easy again to say, but of course, I wouldn't be human if I didn't say I don't. Because I think when we're trying something new, technology, social media, if you're pushing yourself to grow and to learn something, of course, you know, there is self-doubt. I really have a strong sense of belief. I really believe it, believe what I'm doing and what others are doing. But I think self-doubt I think it's natural. And I don't think we should, we don't have to add more time to it. You know, we can still elevate and perform with that self-doubt.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then you just mentioned time there, and again, I like to ask this question. Would you say that your diary is a reflection of happiness, of your happiness? Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I would say I can be very disciplined, but I can be very spontaneous as well. I think that the spontaneous comes with my traveling, just how I am. But the discipline, it's weird. I don't even know if they do go together, but they do. The discipline, starting my day, how I start my routines. I always make sure I do stuff for myself first. And so many entrepreneurs and other people do. And I think it's it's just such a great way to start your day. And then, I make sure there's always something that I enjoy to do during my day. I actually enjoy my work, so that's great as well. But I think it is a reflection of my happiness, definitely.
What's interesting to hear is your definition of an entrepreneur. Everyone's got a different one, but people have this definition of an entrepreneur. Oh, you've got to create something new.
Yeah.
But it's not, in my opinion. What's your definition?
It's so weird you asked that. I was actually talking to G about my sister. No, because that word's used a lot, right?
It is.
It's used so much that actually I'm like, do I even want to use that word? Because, it's. I have my thoughts on that word, actually.
What are they?
Yeah, what
Tell
are they?
me.
I don't know. It's more of a new word, right? Over the last few years, I'd say. What was it before? Was it like a business owner, a founder, businessman, businesswoman?
How does it make you feel? Because you changed when I mentioned that word.
Because I think because we were just talking about it the other day, or was it yesterday? And actually, I think, is it just like us humans? I think ultimately we're just people. We're just humans trying something new. And an entrepreneur or a business person, you know, they're willing to take risks, willing to go for the ups and downs, but also sometimes haven't figured it out either. Like there's that persona.
I feel like we hide. Someone who's winging it. Then.
I think in a way, I think we all are. In a way,
of course we are.
We are, yeah. So that word just makes me laugh a little bit sometimes. I know I'm using it, but What does it actually mean?
Again, I think it's similar to what you've just said there. Someone that's willing to take risks, someone who's not afraid to necessarily fail or learn, or just someone who's willing to push the boundaries and keep breaking through and not accept that there's a ceiling. Yeah,
100%.
Because you're going to have to keep breaking through, and there is no limits to what you can achieve.
Totally. And that's
obviously
exciting.
You've proved that. You've proved it, haven't you? So I think that anyone that's listening, you put your own definition on it. from what I can see, because there's so many definitions. If you used to Google it, you'd have, I don't know, about 10 pages worth of it. But yeah, that would be my definition. There is no ceiling as to what people can achieve.
Totally. I'm still learning, Lewis. Honestly, there's so much, honestly. And I think that's the best place to be. Just still
absolutely.
Learning and striving.
So what is driving you to be better then?
What's driving me? I think, because I see my niece have a comfortable life. And just my family, like I don't have kids of my own. And I'm actually really content with that. I've made a decision. I think I've never actually wanted kids. It's weird, like, to say that. But I'd say more for my niece. I'm her aunt, and I see her as my little one. So, that's definitely driving me to do well.
You said it was weird that you didn't want kids. Why was that weird?
Is it like society? What society?
Yeah,
Yeah. No, I honestly, I'm a free spirit. I like to do what I want. Freedom, adventures, like some of my highest values. So I think growing up, it's never been a priority of mine, and it's crazy. Like, and I don't actually have any regrets about it either. I think I mentioned earlier,
Good, yeah.
I'm getting to it's my 40th, and even now I'm still not feeling. I don't want kids.
No, I think that's absolutely amazing. Do you feel that was there ever any pressure to have kids at all, or did you feel like you was like, no, do you know what? I'm not going to do it. This is my life.
Yeah.
Was there ever in a position where you're like, oh, I should probably have kids, get married, do that? Yeah. Or did you just like, no, I'm going to stay in my lane?
I have always been like, I'm going to stay in my lane. But yes, family, my mum would say, I think, it'd be nice if you had kids and settle down. Yes, I'd love to meet someone, but I think I just love to see so many people do well that I don't feel like I need to have I don't feel like I need a kid of my own. No. So
no, it's tough. There's 3 of them, and it's bloody hard.
How do you do it?
It's hard. And obviously I don't do it on my own, but it's a tough job. When you help so many people, if your cup isn't full, how are you able to then help as many people as you do? That's one thing that I've seen a lot of people try and do. Yeah. Doing what you're doing. Yeah. But because they're not quite level, let's say, themselves. Yeah. Or if they're just about to tip over the edge, it might be because of work, home life, health, whatever it might be. How have you maintained a healthy lifestyle, whatever it might be, to then be able to help and optimize people's lifestyle?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And quite a few people have asked me that. Some of my clients have asked me that too. I just get this energy. Yeah. I just get this energy from speaking to people. Just we're just people at the end of the day. And I think it's probably my personality type or the way I'm built. But I do prioritize doing something that makes me, happy on a weekly basis. I don't think, and that's maybe from coming from when I was working in an environment where I was like, oh, this isn't fulfilling me anymore. So you do need to fill your own cup. It doesn't have to be extravagant. It doesn't have to be really lavish if that's not, because I can lead quite a simple life as well, and I'm really content. I am striving for more, and that's that's where I'm at. But I get this energy. I can't explain it, actually. I find it quite hard to explain, but
no, I understand what you mean. I think with some of the guests that we've had on, they'll have a lovely watch. People know what I'm talking about. A lovely car that will spend millions. You don't have to do that. Yeah. You can just, you didn't agree with me, but I don't care. Yeah. You don't have to do all of them nice things to feel appreciated. And I actually told him that. Yeah. You don't have to. It's relative to you. For me, I don't necessarily need nice cars, nice watch to feel appreciated. I can sit in a room on my own. But until you're at that point, again, that's maybe not what that person wants. That's fine. That's not wrong. That's not right. But it all depends on you. You may want the nice cars to feel appreciated. I don't. Yeah. So yeah, it really does depend on, like you said, your energy, that person's energy.
Yeah.
But that really interests me about yourself, how you've been able to maintain the level of, I suppose, consistency throughout to help that amount of people.
Yeah, and I think that's such a good point. I've actually never owned a car. I've never owned a car, and I don't want one. Like
No.
that's so crazy. Cars are nice.
Yeah.
I don't predominantly love driving, and maybe just growing up in a city, but it's not on my list. I think other things, experiences, they fuel me, but I think ultimately just being sure of who you are. I don't need that external validation. There's nothing wrong with it. I think, why not? Like if you feel happy with a watch and everything, good for you. Like that's amazing. But for me, it's the silly moments with my niece, or dancing in the kitchen, and those memories, those lunches. Those are the things. I just love meeting people. Even I say, even going to the supermarket, if you see someone that might not be but just you feel it and see that they might not be in a great place, but I'll try and just say something or speak to them, or what they're doing after work. Might think I'm a bit crazy, but but I think just that connection with people is so important. So I just think it's just me naturally. My friends used to say, why are you talking to the taxi driver? Why are you talking to this person? I'm like, everyone's human.
But why not? That's what I was. See, that would baffle me. Why would you not?
Yeah.
I'll quite often get an Uber, say after this.
Yeah.
Because I'm lazy and don't walk. But I would always speak to them, and they'll go, well, okay, how many jobs you got after this? And they go, oh, he's talking to me. It's engaging a conversation, because it's just, it baffles me why people don't have that conversation, but it's seen as normal not to now.
Yeah.
Because we've got these screens in front of us. It is. Again, blame COVID for that. And literally, I'm sure you've seen that the rates of, I would imagine from COVID, in fact, has it gone up, the amount of clients that you've got through that?
I think it's definitely helped with the situation. Yeah.
Unfortunately. And is it still predominantly females that are your clients, or?
Male.
Is it male?
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I remember my supervisor, she's so lovely, when I was training, and she said, Amrit, don't get hooked on a niche. And I know we're told to specialize, and that's fine too. Like, I always like to see both sides of the story, make my own judgment on it. And that was one area that I thought I was going to go into, and it is still on my mind. But it's crazy being in this world and networking events that I've been at, predominantly male.
One thing I wanted to ask you is, how do we expand our identity, our self-identity?
In what way?
So how do we, so people watching that come to yourself, how do we get to know ourselves a bit better? So obviously you've given some tools and an insight into that. So how do we get to know ourselves a bit better to then master them emotions moving forward?
Yeah, I think definitely having that time to yourself in silence is so important.
There's so many people that can't do that, though, isn't there?
Yeah, it's hard, right? Yeah, find out what makes you feel really calm and still. It could either be walking in nature, watching wildlife. I actually sometimes say things are hectic and just want to zone out or reconnect with myself and just life. I love looking out into the garden and just watching the birds, because that just takes you straight back into the present moment. Forget what's going on in your head, what's happening out there. Life's still going to carry on, but you can stop. You can give yourself permission to stop for a bit. I've meditated in the past. I feel like I don't need to do it that much anymore, because my mind's quite quiet. I used to think that was a bad thing. It's quite quiet a lot of the time. I used to say it to some friends. I was like, is that bad? Is that bad? But I think we need to give ourselves that time to find our sanctuary it doesn't have to be outside. It can be within. It can be with your family. It can be by putting your phones away. You know, I'm a firm believer when you are meeting friends or going for lunch, just put it away so that you are completely in tune. That's definitely, you've heard of love languages, right? That's one of my highest ones, like attention is like, and but I think for people that really want to tune in with themselves, start off with a gratitude journal. Many of the listeners have probably heard of it, may not have kept up with it, or might be something new. But I think keeping that and just every morning or evening reflecting on things that have made you appreciate your life, where you're at, is such a great starting point. It really is.
Yeah, and I think it's what you've just said there is so important, that it's okay to just sit there and pause. And there's not enough people that, in my opinion, from my experience of talking to quite a lot of people, that just pause and go, oh, do you know what? It's okay not to just fill all my the empty voids or whatever it might be, the blank spaces, with just crap. So I've got to go and do this. I've got to go and fill it with jobs and like a to-do list. You just sit there. It's fine. Like you just said, am I right to... No, I'm fine. Just the way I am. I'm absolutely fine.
Totally. That pause, actually, and I'm a firm believer in this, it's that the image that I get is almost like a catapult.
Yeah.
You know, pulling back, that silence, give yourself that silence. Yeah. It's so powerful. And then that speed can come from that, because it's that clarity that you're giving yourself, that permission, that time to plan. Because sometimes, like you said, I used to be like this. I used to be go, 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 go. And maybe I wasn't even doing the right tasks, but I was filling my diary with stuff that needed to be done. But actually now, you're right. Just stop and pause, and actually you can pivot. You can cross things off your list. Sometimes it's hard to let go of things that you're like, oh, I should be doing this. I should have done this. But actually reassess, where are you going? And actually just constantly check, are you navigating yourself in the right direction? Because it's okay to make little turns and twists and turns. And actually that's something I've learned, because I used to be very like, right, you know, I was a designer for many years. Just keep doing that, keep doing that, keep doing that. Then I needed to take a break from it. And
I think, again, another important point you just made there is to remain agile and not be too hard on yourself. Yeah. And that's a lesson that I had to learn very quickly, was whilst having a routine and habits is, you must have them in order to be this successful person. What is the definition of that? But if you don't remain agile, then it's going to become costly to not only your health, your partner's health, whoever it may be, your family. Because if you're just this regimental, soldier-like person that's going, I'm going to do this at this time, I'm not going to move at all for anyone, things change very quickly. So you need to remain agile, move with the times, and just take things as they come and relax. Just be calm, like you say. Try and find that happy place. But what is your happy place?
My happy place, to be honest, I feel happy and content most of the time. What would be like my happiest place would be waking up and watching the sunrise every morning. That's what, you know, when people say, how would you feel when you've made it, or what would determine when you've made it? A beautiful view, how I'm feeling right now. And yeah, I love nature, love to connect. Never grew up in nature, but seeing the day like start and the dawn break, that would be amazing. Mountains and a lake as well. But my happy place is, honestly, I just feel so grateful for my family, the friends that I've made, the new connections that we're making. This is where we're at, right? So there's no what ifs, what you know. Yes, I want to strive for a more comfortable life, and I think everyone should. You know, we've got this potential. Why not? We're here. Let's make it count. But yeah, I just really appreciate, like I do. I it probably sounds so cheesy, but just that love, I just feel it.
Absolutely. And this was actually from Rob. I watched it on one of his podcasts, so I'll give him the credit. But it was one of his guests that he had on. But I really like the question. If you was the last person on earth, would you still be doing what you're doing?
Yes, totally. Totally.
It's a good question, though.
I love it.
When I listen to it, I think, actually, that's a very good question.
I love what you've just asked. And yes, and I've given that, not that particular question, but the gist of it, some thought, and what I'm doing and what I'm growing with my sister. I see the longevity. That's all I want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's such a thought-provoking one, I think, actually. There's so many people that could ask themselves, if I was the last person on earth, there was no one here, no fear of judgment, no one else to actually judge me on what I was going to do, would I still be doing what I want to do? Would I be in this job? Can I start that business, for example? Yeah. Could I post that piece of content?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not going to be judged.
Yeah, that's so true. I love that. There'll be no one to coach, though.
No, there would be no, but it's just...
Coach myself. Yeah.
When I was, that's fantastic.
That's a wicked question.
Yeah. But yeah, it was about the judgment. And obviously, we spoke about that today. UBlossomWeBlossom. Tell us about that.
Oh, I know. This is a company that my sister and I have started. We celebrated our first year just a few weeks ago. And it started off as a passion project. Our workshops that we've been delivering to our community, it's open for all, guest speakers. And we were like, we just wanted to do more of this. So it's a mindset and wellbeing company. We work with companies, founders of companies, and basically incorporate soft skills in the workplace, compassion, understanding, that listening. And yeah, that's what we're doing. It's incorporating my coaching experience, G's mentoring, our life experience as well. So how we believe to create a better workplace. So
fantastic. And where can people find you, Amrit?
Yeah, they can find me on Instagram.
Yeah.
Amrit Dhanoa _coaching. And we also have our website, UBlossomWeBlossom.com.
Fantastic. Now, I know that you're very close to your niece. I want you to, if you can, leave her a nice message down that camera now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Leave her a nice message that whatever you want to do, because the reason I didn't get G to do it was obviously because of what we were speaking about that particular day, but I'd love you to leave a nice message that she can then look back on, because I know she does the little workshops as well.
Oh, Lewis, thank you.
No worries.
I just need a moment.
That's all right. No problem. Take as long as you need.
That's so beautiful. I'll sit up a little bit. Hi, Ivor. I know you've got back from your trip, and I just want to say that you truly inspire me and your mummy. Just go get whatever you want in life, and we are there supporting you fully. And just keep teaching me your pearls of wisdom, because I'm always learning from you as well.
Amrit, you've been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lewis. I really appreciate it.